Greetings, Butterfly Tribe, and welcome to the Way You See Me Heart Healing Ministries. Today I want to continue on with my the testimony of how my journey of healing started. But before I start, let's open with scripture. John, the 14th chapter, verses 25 and 26. It is written, "These words I have spoken to you while still with you. But the Helper, the set-apart Spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I said to you." May Yahuwah add a blessing to the readers, hearers, and doers of his set-apart word. So let's go back to September 6th, 2012. I was on my way to work. I made it to work safely. And as I drove into the parking lot of my job, my husband called me to tell me or to ask me if I had remembered to turn in our rent check on my way to prayer meeting and Bible study the night before. And I had not remembered. And when he asked me where the rent check was so he could drop it off, I told him to look in the front of my Bible because that's the only thing I had when I left home. When he looked in the Bible, he said he did not see it. So I began to panic because I didn't know if I had dropped the rent check somewhere. So I said, okay, I'm on my way home. As I drove to the stop sign that leads out of the parking lot of my job, I'm sitting at the stop sign and I hear the voice of my grandmother. Now, granted, I told you in the video yesterday that my grandmother died when I was 18 years old. This was years later. She died in 96. This was 2012. But I heard her voice loud and clear. "When you make it to your destination safely, stay there." These were words that we had heard as children. This was things that we were taught as children. So I knew it was a warning, and I actually said, no, the rent is more important. So I left work, drove home, made it home safely, opened the Bible, and the rent check was in the front cover of my Bible. I grabbed the envelope, left home, dropped the rent check off to the office, and headed back to work. But I never made it back to work that day. About 5-10 minutes away in the town where I grew up, actually, that I lived my entire childhood, I was on Highway 90, and I came to a complete stop behind a school bus and a 4Runner. I watched this mother walk her children to the school bus, and after they got on the school bus safely, she walked back to the roadway. She waved at them and blew them a kiss. Before this happened, this was a very sunny day, bright, sunny fall day. I had looked in the rearview mirror earlier or prior, and I saw a car approaching, but never paid it any mind. So after I watched her wave bye to her kids and blow the kisses, the next thing I remember was the sound of a car horn, just extremely loud. I don't recall the impact. I don't recall being hit, just the loud noise. And I'm not sure if I blacked out a few seconds or what, but when I heard the noise, I turned around and looked back, and I saw the front of this vehicle in my back seat, a Mountaineer. I was sandwiched between a Mountaineer and a 4Runner. I was driving, I think, a 2010 Malibu. But I was just in disbelief. Like, I looked down and I touched my legs. And I remember moving my feet, and tears just poured down my face. And I began to thank the Most High that I could move. And I began to remember the lesson. And right now I don't remember it. But I remember sitting there thinking about the Bible study lesson and thanking him that I could move. And I got out of the car and I was looking for my phone so that I could call for help. But I couldn't find my phone. And the lady in front of me, in the Forerunner, took out her phone and she called the cops. And I remember stepping out of my car and asking her if I could use her phone to call my husband. I called my husband and told him that I was in a car accident and where I was. And then I gave her phone back. I walked over to the vehicle where the lady, that the lady was driving that hit me. She was a elderly lady, and she was screaming on her phone, yelling at somebody in the phone that she had just hit somebody, that she hadn't checked her blood sugar, she hadn't taken her meds, all of this, but she was okay. And the only thing she told me was, I never even saw you. I walked around my car, and I finally found my phone on the floor under the passenger side mat. It was underneath there. I got my phone, and I was still walking around in confusion for a little while. But my head was throbbing. So when they asked, when the EMTs got there, they asked if I felt any pain. And the only place that I felt pain was the back of my head. I'm assuming where my head hit the seat when I was pushed forward and then hit the car and pushed back. So they began checking me out, put me in the ambulance, and that was that. I survived that accident. My car was a total loss. The impact was so great that it broke all 4 safety beams on my car. Because I was in the town that I grew up in, someone was passing by that recognized me, and they called my mom to tell her that I had been in an accident. And my mom said that when she got to the scene of the accident, the ambulance was leaving, and the only thing she could see was my car. And she said she thought I was dead because the ambulance did not have lights and sirens on. But the way my car looked, she thought I was gone. She thought I was dead. She thought she had lost me. But the Most High spared me. I did have injuries from that accident. I hurt my shoulder where the seatbelt was. My knee had a big hematoma on it from where it hit the dash. I had whiplash, and all 3 tiers of my back were inflamed and strained. And at the time I could not feel that, but the next day I did. I was taken to the hospital. They did a CT. Everything looked good, and I was sent home after being checked out. But it took months for me to be able to return to work. And that is where my journey of healing began. You see, all throughout life, I was always helping other people, wanting to be what other people needed. And I was avoiding the one person that needed me most, which was myself. I had never addressed the issues that I had dealt with. So in the 3.5 months that I was home recovering, I could not return to nursing. I could not push a vacuum, a shopping cart. I could not clean. I could not hold a baby. I was just supposed to be resting and allowing the inflammation, the swelling, everything to calm down in my body. I was in physical therapy and also seeing a chiropractor. But at night, I could not sleep because I had these tension headaches that would never go away. I could not sleep. It hurt so badly. And I remember one night the Most High told me to open the Bible and read. So while everybody else in the house was asleep, I would read and take notes in this little book. And then as he began teaching me in the privacy, in the set apart or secret place, he made me look into the mirror. And he made me address the one person that I did not want to see. He made me address all the flaws that I saw within myself, which was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I would hear the words spoken to me and over and over again, and I began to see those things in the mirror. And he helped me use his word to work through those images. He began erasing the imprint of other people in the image I saw of myself and replacing it with scripture and his image of me. All of this led to a book that was my book that was published a year later, called Reflections of Christ, the Ultimate Transformation to a Christ-like Image. And that's exactly what he did. He allowed me to see myself through his eyes. He led me through a one-on-one journey of healing using scripture, helping me address the seeds of darkness that had been sown within me throughout life, helping me to uproot those things. And he began planting seeds of light through his word within me. He taught me how to use affirmations and speaking the word over my life, speaking the promises over my life. He saved me that day. He tried to warn me. I look back and I know that when I heard that voice, he tried to protect me from that accident. And I overrode the voice. I spoke in scripture about the comforter that would come, the helper, the set apart spirit that would come. And he would teach us and remind us of all that he had said. And it made me think about, he let me hear that familiar voice of my grandmother telling me not to leave that day, but I overrode that voice and left anyway. And the enemy meant to kill me in that accident. I know he did. And yes, the car took the blunt of that energy, that impact away from me. The airbags never deployed. And I'm grateful. Looking back, I'm grateful because it would have caused more damage, but they never did. But he used that car to take that impact away from me. He spared my life. And in Romans 8:28, it says, all things work together for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. Because those whom he foreknew, he predestined to be transformed into the image of his son. And he used that accident. He used that healing process to transform me. And I'm grateful. Here we are 12 years later. And I still have aches and pains from that accident, but I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for the transformation. I'm grateful that through all of that, he allowed me to be a mouthpiece, a voice for him, not only in writing the book, but also calling me to ministry, to help other people transform their image. Through conferences, through one-on-one mentorship, He spared my life because he already knew what he had planned for me. And weapons will form. The enemy sent it, but the Most High did not let it prosper. And that's where my journey of healing began. And that's why I am so adamant about speaking for him, because I know what he did in my life, and I know what he's capable of doing in the life of others. So from this point forward, I will continue sharing my testimony of things that he brought me out of, and how he helped me see who I was in him, how he helped me find my identity in him. I hope I've shared something that helps you. Be blessed and come back. I hope you'll come back and listen and join in and share in this journey of healing. Have a blessed day.